Everybody keeps telling me that Texas Tech is the new bully in the Big 12. That Cody Campbell's money has changed the balance of power, and Joey McGuire has built a monster out in Lubbock. Hell, Brett Yormark may as well ship the Monster Energy Big 12 Championship trophy to Lubbock now.
In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to find your Temu tracking number fast. Whether you've made a purchase and you're eagerly awaiting its arrival, or you simply want to stay updated on your package's journey, finding your tracking number is essential.
I got to tell you something, folks. I'm not buying it. In fact, I'll put it in ink before there's even been a meaningful snap in 2026. The Red Raiders are losing 3+ games this season. Somebody else is going home with the Big 12 championship too. I said it. Come fight me about it. My biggest problem with Texas Tech isn't even its roster. It's that I don't believe that the program is emotionally equipped to handle being the villain that everybody suddenly expects them to be. I'll explain exactly what I mean tonight because I've got receipts on Tech, Oklahoma, the Texas Longhorns, Ohio State, and Oregon that I'm willing to live with all season long. Hey, talking season is just about over with. Somebody better write this stuff down. Everybody keeps telling me Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football's Top 12 Plus First Four Out Show. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss a moment of Hall of Fame college football. Normally, Thursday night is about who's in the top 12, who's just outside, who moved where, and why. Tonight's going to be a little bit different because this is essentially the last chance to talk without evidence. Once they start playing football, in week one that is, opinions, they just become receipts. So tonight I'm revealing the top 12 plus, and then I'm dividing some of these teams into 3 categories. Either I'm buying, prove it, or I'm not buying it. And before we're done, I'm putting 5 predictions on the Hall of Fame college football receipts board, and they'll stay there for the rest of the season. No moving the goalposts in November. And tonight I want one from you as well. Place your boldest prediction in the chat, one you're willing to have me read back to you in December. All right, so let's remind everybody how the rankings go. First of all, obviously from 12 to 9, you've got BYU, USC, Alabama, Indiana, Ole Miss, and Oregon. Obviously, I've gotten into all this. We don't have to regurgitate all this stuff. Of it, obviously, rounding out the top 12, you've got Oklahoma, Miami, number 4, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State at number 2, and number 1, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The first 4 out, we've talked about this quite a bit. LSU Tigers with Lane Kiffin, followed by the Michigan Wolverines, Texas A&M Aggies, and the Florida Gators and new head coach, John Summerall. Now you know who I think is good, but rankings don't really tell you how comfortable I am with them. That's where this starts getting interesting. Need new gear for Saturdays in the fall? Before you head to the stadium, the watch party, or your favorite spot to catch the games, check out the Hall of Fame College Football Fanatics Partner Store. You'll find officially licensed gear from your favorite college football programs, jerseys, hats, shirts, hoodies, collectibles, and plenty more. So whether you're repping the Sooners, Hurricanes, Hoosiers, or another team from across the country, you can gear up while also helping support Hall of Fame College Football. Just use our Fanatics Partner link before you shop Grab the gear you were already looking for and help support the show at the same time. You'll get the best price of the day just by using our link. Shop your team, rep your colors, and support Hall of Fame college football. Just log on to hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics and get the best prices of the day right on our Fanatics partner link. Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football's Top 12 Plus First Four Out Show. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you... Okay, well, that isn't right. I'm not sure what I just did there. All right, but that's okay. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Obviously, our first little bit of it, let's talk about this top 12 plus. We're not going to go too deep into it because we know what it's been. It hasn't changed. What we're going to do is talk a little bit more tonight about some other subjects of what I feel like is probably going to happen moving forward. Obviously, number 12, BYU. At number 12, number 11, the USC Trojans. Lincoln Riley on the hot seat to get to the playoff or at least probably hit 9 wins if he's going to keep his job in Southern California. Alabama at number 10, Keelan Russell does get the starting nod. This could be a very, very dangerous offense, and their defense is pretty solid. If you're counting out Alabama, you'll probably do it at your own peril because I'm not. Indiana at number 9. Ole Miss at number 8. 7 is Oregon. Number 6 is the Oklahoma Sooners. Number 5, Miami. Texas at number 4. Georgia at 3. Ohio State at number 2. And number 1 still, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, let's talk a little bit about that. We've got the first 4 out as well. Still LSU, Lane Kiffin in his first season, obviously trying to add some players at the last second from the NFL. Greg Sankey shut that down this week. Love seeing that because and really it's not about the players so much as it is about, I think that it's about time that, if anything, first off, it does look really bad on the NCAA. I'm going to say that real quick because why would you not just grandfather in guys that would have been playing their 5th season in college football? Doesn't make any sense. But it looks like everybody's putting their foot down. That's going to include Texas Taco Tech, who I said at the start of the show I don't believe in. So they probably won't be getting Thomas Castellanos as far as what we can tell. But Michigan at number 14. Look, I think this team is another one of those teams that could really move up. Texas A&M, I'm going to talk a little bit about them in a little while, but Florida, we talked about them last week with Shelton Walker of High Top Sports. Look, I think it's a wild card there in that area, but I think talent-wise, they're definitely good enough. We'll see kind of how things shake out for them in the first few weeks. They got some tough games right off the bat in the SEC that could put them in a good position or it could put them out. We'll kind of have to wait and see how that all turns out. All right. Let me get into where we're going here. Welcome into the show, everybody. Rob077, Groovy Sooners. Good to see you, man. Amy Rowe, MWG. Rest in peace, Peter Cullen. Absolutely. Hey, everybody make sure you hit that like button. Share the stream with your friends. We don't have very many people in here. And make sure you check in when you get here because we need you. We need you to do that. 1 second here. Let me see where was I at? All right. So, obviously got that out of the way. Look, what we're going to do is, you know who I think is good. The rankings don't tell you how comfortable I am with any of them, though. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about it, but that's where it's all going to get interesting. First and foremost, we're going to break it up into 3 kind of for these first three that we're going to talk about in this top 12 plus in my rankings, I'm going to have a team that I buy. I'm going to have a team that I'm not too sure about. And there's a team you guys know that I don't buy. And we'll kind of get into that. Who I'm buying. Pretty simple to me. Look, guys. Oh, man. Let me add this one to it. You guys already know that I'm buying the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Look, a lot of you folks have given me grief for weeks about having Notre Dame at the top spot in the rankings. So tonight, I guess I'll make it worse. Look, I've got more than, look, here's the deal. I'm going to just say it here. I'll just go ahead and show you one more thing here. Yeah. I've got these Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You see that? It's not pencil. This is straight up ink. I wrote Notre Dame in pen. They're going at minimum to the semifinals of the college football playoff. Okay? Not predicting they're merely going to make the playoff. I believe Notre Dame is one of the 4 best football teams in America. And truth being told, it would not surprise me in the least if this team won the national championship. You trust their roster construction under Marcus Freeman. He's been killing it since he's got there. Their defensive line is, comparable to the best defensive lines in the country. Their offensive line has been comparable to the best offensive lines in the country. They run the football. They play amazing defense. Their secondary is fantastic. And they have a second-year quarterback in C.J. Carr who does the things that they really weren't able to do the last time they played for the national championship 2 years ago against Ohio State, which is throw the ball with Riley Leonard. This guy, C.J. Carr, can get it done. They still are going to run the heck out of the football. You know that. They've got a strong offensive line. I think that they've got more than enough ceiling with that offense to carry what that defense is going to do. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm not getting off this train. Notre Dame, to me, is a clear – I'm buying them, okay? I am buying Notre Dame. Okay. So, next up, let's talk about the next one here. This is going to be my Prove It team. And, look, this one's a little different. Ole Miss is going to have to prove it to me. Okay? Look, I don't want this to sound like an attack on Ole Miss because it is far from that. Okay? This is probably the team, though, in my top 10 that scares me the most out of everybody. I've got enough respect for the roster to rank them where I've had them at so far. But Lane Kiffin is not walking back through the door. Pete Golding wanted the big chair. Now he's got it. Congratulations. But you have to prove now that you're a real deal head coach. And you don't have the benefit of the schedule that Lane Kiffin had last season with a first-year Trinidad Chambliss along with Kejuan Lacey, who rushed for almost 2,000 yards. Look, he's going to have to prove that he's a head coach, and life without Kiffin is not going to make it easy. Was Ole Miss's sustained level about the institution, or was it about Lane Kiffin? I would tell you that it was about Lane Kiffin. Now, I'm not telling you that I don't think that Golding is pretty good. I think he showed that he's got some coaching chops as a head coach in the playoff. I also think that some of the motivation that was there could wear off whenever you start thinking about all that stuff, right? I think it makes it tough. What are they going to do with the whole, the other thing that you got to think about during the CFP, they still had Lane's right-hand man from the offense, in Charlie Weiss Jr. calling the plays during that playoff. And that made it tough. So now you have a guy who there's some continuity and some, he worked under Lane Kiffin a couple of years back on the staff, the play caller. So you would think that I still think Trinidad Chambliss, to me, he's the best quarterback in the SEC. He proved that, coming out of nowhere. It's a great story. I like Kejuan Lacey. They got to replace a couple of their offensive linemen, and they're going to go up against the best teams in the conference, where last year they played pretty much two of the best teams in the conference as far as where they ranked by the time the season was at the end of it. They were 1-1 against them. They lost to Georgia, beat Oklahoma in a tight game. They get to play both of them again this year, along with LSU and Lane Kiffin in week 3 at home. They get Texas on the road. They've got Florida and John Summerall, as we talked about. Obviously, you've got a different Mississippi State team in the Egg Bowl at the end of the year with Kamario Taylor. We'll know an awful lot more about that team once it gets down to the end of it. But if you think that this team has it easy, I would tell you it's far from it, I think it's far from it. What's up there, 47 straight Alabama Poe? I'm crazy. I'm always crazy. If Notre Dame makes it with that schedule, do more teams say this with scheduling weak opponents the way to go? Listen, going back to the Notre Dame pick there, listen, you can say what you want about that, but if you go back and look at what Indiana did last year, their schedule was easier than the one that Notre Dame plays this year. We can talk about, the bulk of that schedule not being very good from Notre Dame, and not playing SC doesn't make it a great schedule, but they play BYU on the road, a BYU team that was an 11-1 team last year, has most of those pieces coming back, and, did all that with a true freshman quarterback who's now coming back as a second-year starter. I think that that's the best team in the Big 12. That's going to be a tough game. You have to play Miami. You get to host them. But Miami, to me, is also one of these teams that is, I have them in my top 5. I believe that they're one of the teams that can absolutely get it done. Okay? They can absolutely get it done. You turn around and you look at, then they end up playing an SMU team that a lot of people are high on. They've got them at home as well. Listen, I think that they should win 2 out of 3 at worst of those games, but it's not like listen, who do a lot of these teams play? When it comes to Indiana, they play about the same amount of good opponents. And certainly out of conference, they're playing nobody again. And Signetti's happy about it. So, we can sit here and do all this, let's hate on Notre Dame stuff. At the end of the day, I'm looking at, they've got an easy enough schedule that they should get through it unscathed. I think at worst they go 11-1, but they're coming into it with a chip on their shoulder. They felt like they should have been in the playoff a year ago. They won 10 straight games after losing. You can say it was the only 2 teams they played. I don't agree with that, but they lost those 2 games to Miami and Texas A&M by a combined 4 points in week 1 and 2, and then won 10 straight. So say what you want to say. I believe that they're really, I just feel like that's just going to be kind of how it is. As far as it goes with I haven't really seen a whole lot about that stuff yet. I'm not exactly sure what that's about, to be quite honest with you. But we'll go from there. When it comes to the Ole Miss side of it, again, I like Ole Miss a lot. I love watching Trinidad Chambliss. He's a great story. He can play. And, man, did he put that team on his back in the playoff? Again, I don't know that, I think that you're going to have to dodge a lot of bullets. And I think week 3 matters a ton. But, the week after that, you got to go to Florida and play in the Swamp. It's going to be it's tough all the way around for those guys. You know what I mean? What's up, Neilio? Trojan Fight, My Gun Sweetness. Artistically incredible. Yeah, they're obviously important games. They play a Wisconsin team that I don't expect much out of, but they're a Big Ten team. I don't expect much out of them. They haven't been good. If they are, it'll be surprised. I'll be surprised with it. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's kind of where we are. No, it's not just cartoon Jason. I'm just putting some graphics up to try to, you know, help with some of that stuff. But, yeah, let's get to the next one let's see. All right, so that was my prove it pick. Let's get to this next pick here. I'm going to add it. And this is one of two teams that I'm not buying at all tonight as I talk about them, and we're talking about Texas A&M. The Aggies, look, I've said this quite a few times. This is the receipt, not the dissertation about Texas A&M. I've told you already, so I don't need to take 25 minutes with this. But if you're asking me which nationally respected team I respect or I expect to disappear from serious college football playoff contention, first, it's Aggie. It is. I think they're fool's gold. I really do. The reason for that, I'll give you three reasons. Number one, they too, like Ole Miss, play one of the toughest schedules in the SEC, a much, much tougher schedule than the schedule they played last season, in which they really didn't play anybody in the top half of the league standings until the last week of the season when they got drugged by their rivals at Texas. You know, that's just the long and short of it. So, you know, to me, when you start looking at that, that's part of it. The next thing is that they're replacing both coordinators, and both of their coordinators were elevated from within the program. I think it's a mistake on the part of Mike Elko when you're replacing 4 of your 5 offensive linemen. You're replacing your lead running back, your lead receiver, a lot of that defense that was legit as it was, and you bring back a quarterback that struggled at times not turning the football over when it mattered, right? And I just think he's a liability, and to not go out there and look for a proven play caller in the SEC, from the SEC level at that, I just think it was a misstep by Mike Elko. I like Mike Elko. I think he's a great coach. I also think that there's something to be said for loyalty towards the staff that you have. I'm all good with that. At the end of the day, you know, I just don't feel like Marcel is going to get the development that he needed from, you know, a brand new coordinator that's calling plays for the first time in the SEC, and with the schedule that sees you play, you know, Oklahoma, Alabama, Texas again, obviously. I believe they have Ole Miss. Do they have Ole Miss? No, but they have LSU. They're playing a lot more of those good teams. They've got Tennessee this year, you know, which is another team that I think is going to be a surprise team for a lot of people. If their freshman quarterback can be good, and how can he not? I mean, he could easily be as good as as Marcel Reed could phase on Brandon. They've got one of the better offensive lines in the SEC. They've got one of the better running backs in the SEC. And Josh Heupel has had a different quarterback every year that he's been in Knoxville. So none of these games are going to be easy. You're going to go up against an LSU team again on the road. I know that you got past them last year. It's not the same football team. If LSU gets on a roll, they win that week 3 matchup with Ole Miss, they're going to be a bear. And so to me, I think that they are definitely and on top of that, they play a really good coach and program in the Big 12 and the non-conference in Arizona State. There's not a guaranteed game there either. I think it's a tough go for A&M. I've told you guys that I don't really believe in them in the past, and that's just kind of where I'm at. So let's. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the first receipt list here, and kind of show you where I'm at with that. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and I'll be right back with you guys. Want a more comfortable way to breathe through your nose? Put an end to dental issues caused by mouth breathing and stop snoring? Meet Intake Breathing. This simple magnetic system is designed to support easy, comfortable nose breathing at night, during workouts, and throughout your day. It's quick to apply, comfortable to wear, and built for real life. Better comfort, better routine, and better breathing. Scan the QR code and get 15% off your Intake Starter Kit today. Visit Intake Breathing to learn more. College football season is here, so if you're going to talk that talk on Saturdays, might as well wear the colors. Head over to the Hall of Fame College Football Pod Merch store and grab your Hall of Fame gear. Shirts, hoodies, hats, and more, made for the people who believe college football isn't just a sport, it's a way of life. And when you rock Hall of Fame gear, you're doing more than repping the show. You're helping us keep building independent college football coverage, more shows, more road trips, more interviews, and more of the content you come here for every week. So go to hofmedia.us/pod-merch. That's hofmedia.us/pod-merch. Rep the game, support the show, and welcome to Hall of Fame College Football. Need new gear for Saturdays in the fall? Before you head to the stadium, the watch party, or your favorite spot to catch the games, check out the Hall of Fame College Football Fanatics Partner Store. You'll find officially licensed gear from your favorite college football programs, jerseys, hats, shirts, hoodies, collectibles, and plenty more. So whether you're repping the Sooners, the SEC, or another team from across the country, you can gear up while also helping support Hall of Fame College Football. Just use our Fanatics Partner link before you shop. Grab the gear you were already looking for and help support the show at the same time. You'll get the best price of the day just by using our link. Shop your team, rep your colors, and support Hall of Fame College Football. Just log on to hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics and get the best prices of the day right on our Fanatics Partner link. Need new gear for Saturdays? Before you head to the stadium, the watch party, or your favorite spot to catch the games, check out the Hall of Fame College Football Fanatics Partner Store. You'll find officially licensed gear from your favorite college. All right, sorry about that. Trying to pull this thing in here. Man, I had all this stuff already done, so I was wanting to just be able to chat with everybody. But 1 second, I think I can pull it in here, and we're going to be good. I believe... maybe. It may take a few minutes. Anyway, now let's go ahead and pull up then. I'll just pull up my receipt list. And again, this receipt list is going to be, we're going to keep coming back to this so you guys can stick me on it every time from here on out. Obviously, the first receipt that I had for today was going to be the Notre Dame receipt. Bring it up here in just a second, but I'll do it here. Give me 1 second. The next one I'm going to talk about, and you guys know that how I kind of feel about this whole deal. This isn't obviously me sunshine pumping or telling you that I believe that this is a guaranteed deal. This is a receipt that I believe, I I truly believe that they can do this, but Oklahoma, if they are able to, let's see, where is that? Dang it. There we go. You know, under center work, it's going to work out. You'll be under center that allows you to do that play action stuff that's going to give John Mateer. If you listen to what Ted, no, it was it Ted or was it, no, I think that it was obviously Layman. No, Eichert, Gabe. Gabe was talking about that he felt like his timing was better in the play action from under center. Now, I kind of thought that that's one of the things that you don't really expect out of a guy who's never been under center really to speak of, like John Mateer hasn't, even going all the way back to high school. But if it allows the timing to kind of line up with what it is you're trying to do, from what Eichert said, he felt like that's when he's looked at his best was when they were under center and there was some play action going on with it. It linked up their timing. That's a fantastic thing to hear. Because if they're able to do that, now the pass rush can't just tee off on him. He's not, and he doesn't have to have happy feet. He can stay in the pocket. They can literally put defenses in a situation where they're in jeopardy and they don't really know what's coming because everything would look the same, whether it's a run or a pass. If they're doing that, that means that he doesn't have to manufacture offense the way that he did last year. Even before he got the broken thumb, there was times that it worked. He was still making poor decisions at times and poor throws and turning the football over. If he doesn't have to have all of that on his shoulders, Venable's defense doesn't have to obviously survive for 80 snaps a game either and try to shut you down for 80 snaps when you're going up against some of the better offenses in the country this year as well. If Oklahoma gets that, the Georgia game, even in Athens, isn't unwinnable. It's not. Texas in the Red River, not unwinnable. You could win that game too. A semifinal trip or game isn't unwinnable. The national championship is not unwinnable if they're doing these things because that's how good they are defensively if they can run the football. You could put that on my receipts list too because I believe wholeheartedly Is the audio still bad? How about now? Better, same, worse? Ain't this a bitch? Audio. How about now? Okay, well, it shouldn't be going to that. It should not. Sounds good now. Let me check one more time on that too and make sure I'm where I need to be on this audio default. I think we should be good. Now, tell me if when I go back to the could you still hear me on the graphic? When I was on the graphic now, did you just hear me talking? Still no. Okay. All right, well, I guess I'll take that graphic off. Huh. I'm not sure what that was about. Check it. I don't know. Well, that sucks, man. I'm working on these graphics to try to get all that stuff. All right. Second time audio dropped it again. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on with this audio, but it's a little weird. Little weird. It's when you go to the graphic. Okay. Moving on. All right. I'm going to move on. Now, you can still hear me if you... All right, well, I'll go back and talk about this stuff then again. Did you hear what I was saying for the most part about? Let me just go back and say it again. It's not a bold prediction for me to say that Oklahoma's in the top 10 because I think everybody's got them in the top 10. It's not, I've had them at 6th since I started doing this show, to say that that's where they are. Where my prediction is if they develop an honest to God, true running game centered on running back play, not John Mateer being the whole running game, leading the team in rushing, all that kind of stuff, then Oklahoma can do everything and play with anybody or beat anybody in the country. That's how good this defense is. But again, we're not talking about Oklahoma being led in rushing by Mateer or stealing 5 yards here and there, because the quarterback escaped the pocket, which he loves to do. We're talking about lining up, handing off that football, and making the defense stop your running game with their backs. Getting out on the edges behind your big boy tight ends and playing power football. Getting under center and being able to make things happen there. I thought that what Gabe Eicher was talking about the other day, it was fairly surprising because my assumption was, and, obviously you can't make too many assumptions about anything, but my assumption is that when you haven't played under center, mostly for any of your career, and John Mateer hasn't, that there was probably some things that he was going to need to continue working on to get better at. He wasn't going to be as comfortable playing in play action, having his back to the defense, when you run play action from under center, things like that. Those can be some uncomfortable things, and timing has to be just right. From what Eichert said, that seems to be when their timing is best is when they're under center. That's a great freaking thing to hear. Because you're going to be able to run the ball under center if you're going to be able to run it. You get running backs running downhill, and you can actually make them guess as to what you're going to do. They'll have to honor the run game. They won't just be able to, not honor it, because if they don't load up the box, then you're going to gash them that way. If they do load up the box, then you can hit them over the top on play action, because everything should look the same. And from what Gabe and Teddy are saying, that's what you're seeing. That's fantastic to hear. Because why does it change everything? Play action becomes credible. The under center game works. Pass rush can't tee off on you, and Mateer doesn't have to try to manufacture everything with his own legs and scurry out of the pocket quicker than he needs to, right? He doesn't have to get happy feet and get the hell out of there, because he should, at this point, trust his offensive line more than he did a year ago. That's the other biggest thing that would go with it. And then on top of that, he doesn't have to manufacture offense, which didn't work out that well, whether it was, he had moments where he was really good, but turnovers were a problem. And you can't turn the football over like that and expect to win at a high level. But if Venables' defense isn't on the field for 80 plays a game, trying to shut you down for 80 plays a game, now all of a sudden, even a game in Athens against Georgia, it's not unwinnable. Texas isn't unwinnable. Even a semifinal or a national championship game isn't unwinnable, because you have the best defense in the country, and you may have an offense that can do everything you need it to do to keep you in games. Take care of the ball, be able to capitalize on turnovers and good situations that the defense puts you in. That's the key to this team. That's what's going to put them in that position. And I truly believe that's why it's receipt number 2 for me. If Oklahoma does that, the sky's the limit for them. All right. Now, yeah, I love the 2 tight end set. Bama and Oklahoma are going to be a lot better than people were thinking. Yeah, listen, I think that Alabama's people that are sleeping on them, talking about 7-5, I'm not even having that conversation. I know that that's something that's going all over YouTube. They named the right guy quarterback. I mean, I saw the dude in person at A-Day. It was not close between him and Austin Mack in my mind. It wasn't close. And, out of loyalty to the guy, they had to give him a shot. He wasn't the better player, though. And so them doing that, and then the defense that they have already, proven to have kind of on that team, don't expect him to go anywhere. Don't expect him to go anywhere. And they actually have a pretty manageable schedule in comparison to what they've had the last couple of years. Obviously, Oklahoma doesn't match up with them unless they see them in like a conference championship this season. But, yeah, I think that they're legit. I really do. Okay. Let me see something real quick here. Oh, no. Next up, this should be, and I want to be clear about what I'm saying here. Oklahoma being throughout the rest of the season. Listen, here's one I purposely refuse to finish because I know what I think. I just don't know which victim it's going to be yet. Ohio State and Oregon are both being treated like playoff inevitabilities. I don't believe both of them get there. One of these two brands is going to be watching the playoff from home. Now, I'm not going to tell you which one yet because we're going to keep this as a recurring storyline throughout the rest of the season. Each Thursday, we'll kind of go to an Oregon-Ohio State watch. Who looks more vulnerable this week? By October, I'm going to have to pick which side of this receipt gets cashed. But as of now, it's both both of them are up there. Write it down, take a picture, screenshot it, do whatever you want to do, Oregon fans and Buckeyes. One of you guys is going to find a way to screw it up. but I'm putting the larger bet down tonight. One of them's out. By October, I'm going to have to pick which side of this receipt gets cashed, but I'm putting the larger bet down tonight. One of them is out. Now I'm going to say something that's going to make Texas fans think I'm hating on them. Big shocker. The Longhorns, for the second year in a row, miss the college football playoff. And you can keep the receipt. That's fine. This is a receipt I cashed last year. Don't forget. But, look, this needs... What I'm also going to do is say something that's going to make some Oklahoma fans think I've gone soft. I don't believe Steve Sarkisian should be fired if Texas misses the playoff. But that's not the prediction. The prediction is that Texas does miss the playoff. And the people who write very large checks in Austin don't exactly have patience tattooed across their knuckles. Arch Manning conversation has reached the point where anything short of greatness gets treated like disappointment. We're hearing all kinds of things coming out of camp about him not looking very good. There's seems to be an inordinate amount of, backbiting and trouble going on between players there, not just injuries, but getting kicked off the team, things such as that. Sark is recruited. He's accumulated tons of talent. But again, anything short of making it deep into the playoff and making a run at this thing has to be considered a failure in Austin. When you spend $45 million on your, not just retaining the guys that you needed to retain, but going out and getting guys like Cam Coleman, Rayleigh Brown, Hollywood Smothers, offensive linemen at the highest caliber, what's your excuses anymore? You already fired a defensive coordinator that had your defense as one of the top units in the country over the last 3 years. Replaced him with definitely a fantastic defensive coordinator in Will Muschamp. But what's the excuse now? And there's a lot of things going around down there about things that aren't going well. And if Arch Manning is getting talked about playing poorly, there's something probably wrong. But Texas has everything necessary to be good. I'm just not convinced very good is going to satisfy anybody anymore. And this is a team that plays a ridiculous schedule this year. Week 2, Ohio State come into town. They play Oklahoma. They play Texas A&M. They play Tennessee. They've got Ole Miss. They've got Lane Kiffin in LSU. And, of course, they've got Texas A&M. It goes on and on. This is not an easy season, and I think they missed the playoff again. And then there's going to be quite the conversation going on in Austin. So receipt number 4, Sark faces a Texas-sized decision after not making the playoff for the second straight season and possibly losing Arch to the NFL draft. Again, I'm not saying they should fire him. I'm predicting that if Texas underwhelms when it matters again, the conversation about parting ways becomes very real. Very real. And Neilio, I love this comment. I agree with you on this. And the truth be told, that's why it's a bold take, and that's why it's going to be up there on my on the receipts list. One of those two I believe is going to miss it. And the reason why is they both actually have to play a tougher in-conference schedule than they've had to, and some of their games are not in the friendly confines of where they're of their home. If USC is a better team, would it really surprise you? Well, it may, because you have to wait and see what is it going to look like with Gary Patterson there. I don't believe totally in USC, you know that. But I don't totally believe in Oregon either. Oregon has found a way to lose football games over and over and over. In fact, yeah, they won the Big Ten their first year in the Big Ten. They won by like 1 or 2 points against Ohio State at home. They have to go to the shoe this time. But they play each other, so there's a loss. If Michigan is better, who's to say? Michigan can tear up they can mess up a lot of teams' fate in what's going to happen in the Big Ten. And again, you've got Ohio State. Look, you never know what's going to happen in the Michigan game. And if you think that Kyle Whittingham isn't going to have that team ready, make no mistake, they will. They're going to be ready for Oklahoma too. Oklahoma's not going to get a pushover in Michigan just because it went the way it did in Norman last year. This is not the same team. It's not. It may have a lot of the same players. It's got the same quarterback. It's got an entirely different staff that does things entirely different ways. And they've won more with less, way less. So I believe that's going to be a tough nut to crack in the Big Ten. Indiana, look, Indiana gets USC at home. They get Ohio State at home. So there's another possible loss. You could easily see some of these games going the other way. And if Indiana is, again, as good as everybody is expecting them to be, even with Josh Hoover, who's to say, man? I know that Curt Cignetti does things the right way as far as, in my mind, on the way he coaches them up. Not putting them through hell during every week. He, goes easy on them, and they're still tougher than nails and do things the right way when they get into games. It's just the way it is. And so, look, there's a part of me that says that I still need to see Curt Cignetti do this again. I'm not hating on them. I don't think that they're paper champions in any stretch because they got a lot of guys back, and the guys that they brought in the portal were unreal good. So they should still be really good. But if Oregon or Ohio State misses, I have to assume USC takes their place. I mean, look, SC's probably got the toughest. Well, it's definitely the toughest schedule that Lincoln's had since he got to Southern California, and that's even without Notre Dame on the schedule. The good news is you've got some of those games at home. You get Ohio State at home. Do I expect you to win that game? No. Do I expect you to go to Indiana and win? No, they've struggled tremendously on the road. But that's what defense travels. And if Gary can get that defense doing the things that they needed to do, and somehow get Lincoln to do things in a more complimentary way, there's no reason talent-wise that SC can't. Jaden Maiava is a stud. And basically, this is his third season as a starter here. I mean, he didn't start the entire first season. He was the second string to start off with, but he ended up finishing the year and looked great. He was fantastic last year. If they run the football and do the right things, and their defense is even just markedly better than it was last year, and in certain situations, SC's going to be a bear. They're going to be a bear, and they could win some of these games. They could find a way to beat. Do you go on the road and beat Oregon? I mean, it's a tall order, but here's the thing about SC and Lincoln. They're going to have, if he's going to keep his job, that means you're going to have to start winning some of these games against the best competition you face, which he hasn't done. So, I think that, I don't have a lot of faith in it, but I do feel like one of these teams is going to slip up somewhere. And Washington is another team that I think is going to give people hell. And nobody's really talking about Washington either. And nobody's talking that much about Michigan. Everybody thinks they're a year away. We're going to find out real quick. A couple of weeks away from now, we're going to find out real quick because they're going to be hosting Oklahoma, a team that's in the top 10 and expected to do big things. What kind of game do they put up? Not saying they have to win the game even to be a pain in the ass when it comes to that thing when it all settles out. But we'll see kind of how it goes. I'm going to go to my last item on this list, my receipts list, and this one's my fun one. I can't wait. I just can't wait. Because I don't think I've ever felt as good about about making a prediction about a team that everybody else seems to love as I feel about this one. And I think Texas Tech at best goes 9-3. Can you guys hear me? Give me a 1 if you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Could y'all hear me with that up there? Y'all are slow on that. Yeah, okay, good. All right, Hammer. Thank you, Brad. Thanks for everybody for coming in. All right. Let me just go back to what I was saying, though. And I believe that, I mean, look, I don't even think that this is that crazy of a thought. I know a lot of people are, and, you know, you start off with guys like Josh Pate who just, you know, they're so much belief in what in what they are in one season. And mind you, if you remember the year before that, they finished 7-5. And then 7-6 actually, because they ended up losing the bowl game to Arkansas. I don't care about bowl games, but they still lost to Arkansas 2 years ago. They go 11-1 last year. They get to the play. They win the conference championship. It's their first conference championship in 70 years. 70 years. And guess what? They had what, 13 guys go to the NFL off of that team. 13 of them. But more than anything else, I mean, I get it. We've arrived at this point, and this is going to make somebody in Lubbock throw a tortilla through a television. I get it. But they were pretty good last year. Their defense was really good. That's the biggest thing. I think that their defense they're assuming it's going to be the same. Florida State was assuming that they were going to be the same as they were the year that they went 13-0 in the regular season. And they weren't, because it's all portal. And you're rolling the dice every time you go all portal. And this is what Texas Tech is doing. But let's just say this. Them earning the 4th seed in the college football playoff, we saw that wasn't real. They couldn't even score a point against an Oregon team that got blown the hell out through a pick 6 on their first offensive play the next week against Indiana. It was the 3rd best team out of the Big Ten, and they boat raced Texas Tech. Boat raced them. Good for them. They won 12 games. They beat BYU 34-7 for the championship. I don't care. I'm telling you that BYU's got everybody coming back, and they don't have everybody coming back. And they've got a guy that they expect is going to be that guy in Will Hammond. And I'll say I like Will Hammond. I don't know that that's really the biggest thing. But even though they had their championship season, are we supposed to really believe that they're the permanent boogeyman in the Big 12? When, since Oklahoma won its 6th straight Big 12 championship, there's been a different champion every year since. So we're talking going back to 2020. And every year since then, there's been a different champion. Joey McGuire, his best season going into last year, he had 7 wins, just like every other Texas Tech coach I can remember. You know, if you want to be Darth Vader, though, you're going to have to understand something. This is where I want to go the biggest. Everybody hates Darth Vader. Everybody hates him. The Dark Lord of the Sith. Everybody hates him. That's part of the job. And for all this chest banging and shit talking about running the Big 12 and being the best team out there, Darth Vader doesn't sit around and, demanding that everybody acknowledge how impressive that, his helmet is or the Death Star is. He doesn't care. He squeezes you and chokes your ass out with the force. My concern is that Texas Tech, it's not whether Cody Campbell can write the check. We know he will. We know he will. We know he can. My concern is whether this program has developed the insulation calluses that come with living under championship expectations. And I can tell you by everything you see day in and day out on Twitter that they have not. They have not. They, as much shit as they talk, it, to me, tells you how unsure of themselves they are. All that stuff that Joey McGuire is saying about he loves being the most hated team in college football, blah, blah, blah. It's bullshit. Because they can't stand to have anybody say anything bad about them. Last year, every Texas Tech win, it kind of built belief in what they were doing. Sure. This year, every close game, because they have a simple, pretty easy schedule, becomes what's wrong with Texas Tech. Every loss becomes, was this all bought? Every opponent treats you like their Super Bowl. You're going to get their best game. It's a different story being the hunted than it is hunting. Anybody who's seen championship football, and if you're an Oklahoma fan, if you're a USC fan, if you're a fan of any of these teams in the SEC that's been dominating over the last 20 years, Bama or Georgia or LSU, you know that it's different being hunted than it is hunting. Texas Tech don't know shit about that because they hadn't won a conference championship for 70 years up until last season. They don't know anything about it. And for a program everybody keeps telling me is overflowing with confidence, they spend an awful lot of time demanding that everybody respect how confident they are. Stuart Mandel thinks they're going 9-3. Enemy. John Wilner can't rank them high enough. Enemy. Big 12 officials disagree with the university. Enemies. Let's leave the Big 12. At some point, you're going to have a bigger enemies list if you're going to be that program. You want to talk about rabbit ears? You guys have to, you should just replace the masked raider with a jackrabbit. Just change mascots at this point because you hear everything and it all bothers you. Sorsby's case wasn't merely, generic rule breaking. The NCAA filing said he made thousands of impermissible wagers, including bets involving Indiana while he was on the team. Texas Tech publicly supported him after an injunction, while the Big 12 moved legally to preserve its ability to sanction Tech if he played. And forget whether they agreed with that as far as what the Big 12 was concerned, but look at what that turned into. Lawyers, conference intervention, state officials. You've got all these crazy public statements. You got Cody Campbell on there telling everybody how they're disruptors and, screaming and yelling about how everybody's just afraid of them. Nobody's afraid of you. But all of that is exactly my point. Texas Tech is already carrying the emotional weight of being college football's newest culture war football program before they've even proven that they can stack championship seasons. They haven't proven anything. They've proven that they can win one in 70 years and that Cody can write a check. They don't just hand it to you every second year. They don't. There's some other teams in the Big 12 that are going to give them all kinds of hell. Houston being one of them. I mean, look, I know that I don't think a ton of Oklahoma State. That offense is going to be a bear. Have fun. Have fun with Michael Hawkins when he gets to town. I mean, listen. And now the Thomas Castellanos stuff. I hadn't been watching it on purpose. I hadn't been paying that much attention to Twitter this afternoon. My guess is, and I love how they were like, he was just going to be a backup anyway. Yeah, I bet. That's why they moved heaven and earth to get his ass there. You think that he just had to go to Tech? It's wild. It's wild. But I feel like that's probably going to be another complaint because I know the Big 12 is deciding on whether they're going to allow that, and it doesn't sound like they're going to. But here's the deal. Here's the important part. None of this matters if they keep winning. And I could be wrong about it. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe Cody Campbell's money accelerated Texas Tech into permanent contender status. Maybe it did. Maybe Joey McGuire is about to prove that he's built a new standard in the Big 12. Fine. We hadn't seen it before now, but okay, sure. But that's what this board is for, too. That's what the receipt board is for. You can come back and you can tell me. But my receipt number 5 is they're not going to win the Big 12 championship. I don't even know that they're going to be really in the running for it by the time it gets down to the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think they're out. They're not going to lose 2. They're going to lose at least 3. They may lose 4. Because I think that when things start going south, and watch, lose a game and see how the world comes down on you because of all the shit you've been talking. All that chattering, all that chest thumping. Instead of acting like Darth Vader, because you're not Darth Vader, but instead of acting like him and not giving a shit and being willing to just cut their throat or blow them up with the Death Star, you have to answer every time somebody has something to say about you. Enemies, we're the enemies. Somebody clip it. Somebody screenshot this. And if Texas Tech goes 12-1 again, I'll sit here in December and eat every word. But I'm telling you right now, I don't see a scenario that they don't lose at least 3 games. I'll stand on it. I know that Josh Pate just believes all in them, but I don't. We'll see. We shall see. And for the 5th consecutive season, the Big 12 will have a different conference champion. It'll be 6 seasons in a row. Okay? All right. Let's see what you guys all have to say. Makes sense. Not a bad depth piece, but to be a contender for a conference championship, you need a quarterback that can take over a game if need be. I don't see that for them on their roster. Was Thomas Castellanos that? I don't know. Whether he was a depth piece or not, I don't think he was good enough to do that. He didn't do it anywhere else. If I was Tech's quarterback, I wouldn't play another game for them and transfer next year. I'm with you, man. The loss of David Bailey is being completely ignored. He was the best college football player in 2025. Yeah, listen, David Bailey, Gonzalez, they were loaded on that defense. And I know that they supposedly just reloaded Spangler. I know they did, supposedly. But again, this is assuming that everything just falls together like it did last year. This time last year, and if you listen to Josh Pate even, the question was whether they were going to gel. That was a question that Joey was asking. Yeah, we love the talent, but are they going to gel together and be a unit that we think they can be? Well, they were. That doesn't mean that it'll happen again. It doesn't. But if you're from Lubbock, you just assume that that's the case. Again, I think that I can tell you that I believe that they have the thinnest skin, and I'm not just talking about the fan base either. from Joey McGuire, every person that is in the administration, certainly Cody Campbell, they hear it all and they respond to it all of it. And that creates pressure. That creates pressure for you. And I've never known them to do well under pressure. I've never known this university to do well under pressure, and I don't believe that it will now. Yeah. Texas might be scared of Texas Tech. Listen, as much as I'd love to sit here and just talk smack about Texas, what Sark said wasn't wrong, number one, and he wasn't even bad-mouthing Tech. He was bad-mouthing their schedule. But there's no way in hell. Why would they play them? They already play one of the, if not the toughest schedule in America. It's right there with it. It's right up there with them. They have a bear. And they would beat the shit out of Texas Tech, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not a very deep room, number one. And number two, how good are they? How good are they? Dysfunctional indeed. Yes, sir. We'll see what team wins. West Virginia, K-State, and Oklahoma State are my sleepers for the Big 12. I've got all three of them. I don't know about Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State probably tops out at 7 or 8 wins, which is a great jump for them. I just don't think that they got enough, particularly defensively. I don't know that they got enough to be able to go. But then again, you never know. If they can make the jump from, I mean, here's the thing that you have to remember is, listen, I get it that Drew Mestamaker was great. I get it that the running back Hawkins was fantastic as well. That was in the American Conference, and it was a watered-down American Conference at that. And neither one of those guys looked very good when they went up against Tulane. They're taking a step up in the level of talent that they're playing against now. So it's an adjustment for them. I'm not saying they can't be good. I'm not saying that. But, you know, I will tell you that Cody Light is nuts thinking that, you know, yeah, they're going to win the whole thing. I think that's wild. I don't know if the Reload has the same type of talent they lost in David Bailey, Jacob Rodriguez, Lee Hunter, and Romello. No, they don't. They don't. They don't. And even if, you know, assuming that they're all really, really good, who's to say? We're talking about portal guys. You don't know what you get with a portal guy. And let's not pretend that their biggest thing that they're looking for in the portal is a good fit. They're judging on stars and talent and stuff like that, and they're not. I mean, culture and all that stuff is secondary, which is what hurt Florida State, guys. Listen, maybe I'm being very short-sighted about it. I've watched Texas Tech for an awfully long time to believe this shit. That all of a sudden they are truly the Darth Vader of the Big 12 and going to run this shit from here on out. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Monty Cisco, my guy. Good to see you, dude. I like Houston a lot, too. Willie Fritz is one of the best coaches in the country. Does more with less, always has. And they get them in what, week 3? You know, you don't think they're going to get after that, you know, a quarterback that's been hurt? Hawk's about to put up numbers in the Big 12. I agree. I think he's going to light it up there. They got 2 really good running backs. They've got some receivers that look really good. Hey, Pat White is on that coaching staff working with Michael Hawkins every day. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Why y'all acting like Aranda doesn't exist? He's running the table in the Big 12 this season. Well, don't they play Tech? I think they do. Maybe you're right, Big G. I hadn't seen that yet from Dave Aranda, but okay. Houston, BYU, K-State at the top of the Big 12. I think they're right there, and I think West Virginia is going to contend. I don't know that I think West Virginia wins it, but I was watching Kuz's show the other morning, and he was going through their schedule, and honestly, most of their tougher games, aside from Texas Tech, are at home. You know, they've got some home games that we're going to see some. We'll find out kind of what they look like when they play. I think they play Pitt earlier in the year, but anyway, it's a doable schedule, and I think that their defense is probably going to be considerably better. Zach Alley knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. They went and got some dudes. I don't think they had enough talent in the room last year, and that's why they went the way they did. But if everybody's going to sit here and believe that Okie Light can just go from 1 win to freaking 10, then why can't West Virginia? I love K-State, third year, with Avery starting. You got Klein back running the shit. I think the people that aren't saying much about K-State, I don't know what they're thinking. But I think BYU is clearly the favorite. They didn't lose much at all, and you can talk about whatever you want. Their freshman quarterback led them into an 11-1 season last year. True freshman, and now he's coming back, along with a lot of them. Sounds like there's some crazy shit going on with Kalani and the AD. They're going to side with Kalani. Apparently, they gave him all that money. They better. Yeah, all the comments insist. Check. Listen, Monty, I know you just got in here, but I was saying, have you ever seen a bully, a real true bully, a team that knows it's the best team, that listens and responds to every time somebody says something bad about him? Never. Darth Vader doesn't give a shit what you think about him. They're not Darth Vader. They care about everything. They whine and complain about how everybody Joey says that he loves it, that they're the hated team, the most hated team. No, he doesn't. Because they have to respond to everything. They have thin skin. They're mentally fragile, too mentally fragile. And I'm not just talking fan base. I'm talking from, administration on down to Cody Campbell and everybody else. Administration down to Cody Campbell, Joey, and everybody else, that they cannot take anybody saying anything bad about them. Go be a bully. Go blow them up with the Death Star. They're not going to do it. All right. That's what I got to say about it. We'll see kind of how everything shakes out, but let me get that board back up there for you guys. And look, we'll keep hitting it. We'll go back to it every couple of weeks and check in on it and see where it is. But at the end of the day, here's my receipts. Notre Dame makes it to the semifinals or better. Oklahoma can win it all if the running game is the real deal. One of the two, Oregon or Ohio State, will miss the CFP. Texas is going to miss the CFP for the second straight year, as is Texas Tech, going at best 9-3. Texas Tech goes at best 9-3. But as I said at the start of this thing, I want to hear from you guys. I want you to give me, a hot take, a take that we can revisit in December and I can read it again. And because you think that this is something that can happen, could be your team, could be a team from across the country. What do you think is an unlikely scenario that you believe is going to happen? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you all on the next one. Thanks a lot for coming in. Appreciate everybody. Share the stream. We'll see you on the next one.